Today in the vlog, I thought it'd be good to show you a little bit about my setup here at home and just give you a feel for what it looks like and why I've done things the way I've done them. But mainly to kind of answer the question, how to have a sort of professional office setup at home. I also want to tell you a little bit about my business and the work that I do, because I think that's important because it provides the context for why it's set up the way it is, give you an insight into what it looks like behind the scenes here at the Content Marketing Academy, which is my business, and how I make it work at home. I didn't always have like a place to work at home. I had to kind of like make do with what I had. So this is like really important message, I think, is that, and a lot of people do compliment me on the setup that I have in my office, but it wasn't always that way. It took quite a while actually to build up to having that, and it's taken time, right? So as things do. Now what I'm looking for in here is something that I used in an interim period where I didn't have an office, where I was working in the kitchen. I didn't want people to see dirty laundry and dirty dishes in the background when I was doing calls. But the other reason for it is because I didn't want the other people that lived in the house to be massively affected by the work that I was doing as well. So if I can throw up a backdrop or something like that, it means that other people, I'm not having to pressure other people, I'm not having to say, I've got to work in here, you know. It just meant that conversation just did not have to happen because I was able to separate my work from the home life quite easily. And I'm going to show you how I did that by using an extra wide backdrop. So what I had was this backdrop basically. So when I was on calls, I would be able to have this backdrop behind me, and the branding was great and it looked amazing. It looks really, really good, right? But obviously it's just a backdrop, it's just a pull-up banner, an extra wide pull-up banner, and it costs a few £100s maybe. A lot of my work, 90% of my work happens online and online calls, so having something like this was perfect for me. Podcast interviews, video calls, webinars, all of that stuff, having the brand right behind me just looked spot on. It was great. If you haven't got the setup that you really, really want, and you've got you want an interim solution, perhaps getting a banner like this is one of the best things you could do, and it gets your brand out there, and it looks professional, it's a nice setup, and nobody's getting distracted by what's going on in the background as well. What's it like for you having an office at home?
Well, this is like the first sort of proper time that I've had somewhere to like study that's closed off from everywhere else.
I think one of the big things from my perspective is just having all the work stuff in there and not all over the house.
And you'll see that when you do start spreading your shit around the house and you go, "Carl, have you seen this? Have you seen that?"
Yeah.
Where is it? I put it back in the office because
that's where it stays.
That's where it stays.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, that's what happens. It just ends up everywhere and you can't find anything. And then kids wreck shit as well, you know. And they know that they're not allowed in there as well, which is really helpful to keep that separation so you're not nagging them as well. Like, so if you don't have like an office, then you kind of feel like you're constantly giving the kids hassle for getting in your way, making noise, or you know, disrupting you whilst you're trying to work. And that's not good. That's not good for relationships. Working from home when you don't have a designated area, designated area is fine. It's closed off that really makes the difference, I find. So if you don't have that, then doing things like having your banner to create a divide between one area and the other is ideal. And then having like set times and things where this is happening when it happens each week or each day, so the kids or your partner or whoever else you're with knows. It's shared when you're cohabiting. It's having a shared respect for what each people are using the house for, and understanding that everybody's need is important. Because you might think that, God, this is so important. Why don't they understand? I've got to work. I've got to do this. Blah blah blah. But their chilling out time, watching telly, enjoying each other's company. Say if it's just the kids, that's important too. If you don't communicate with each other properly about when things need to get done at what times, how you're going to make that a positive experience for whoever is taking the importance of that time up, then it just ends up being a freaking constant battle of everybody being pissed off at everybody else.
thought I'd show you in the office area now and have a look around. I've not tidied up anything in here, so what you see is exactly how it is on a day-to-day basis. That's what this vlog's all about. We're not trying to pretending to be anything we're not here. So I'm just going to show you around the office, give you an idea for what it kind of looks like, kind of behind the scenes-ish, I suppose. So like this is what the office looks like in its entirety here. So there's like 2 desks, Cara sits here, and this one facing the window, and this is the front of the house out there, and that's my desk there. I have these 2 light boxes here, I'll tell you about them in a second, and then behind the light boxes there you'll see a whiteboard, and there's some box of shit here. That needs to be in the garage away from in here. And then if I go around here, get a better feel, we've got a printer here, so occasionally I have to still print stuff these days. And if we go around behind the lights here, you'll see that's like what my setup kind of looks like from this angle here. So let's start with the desk. I've got like a really old iMac here that I use for all web calls. And this camera here, this Logitech C920 or whatever it is. That's my webcam. The microphone is a Blue Yeti strapped to one of these Rode boom arm things, right? It's all set up static, right? This stuff never moves, stays on the desk all the time. Got a MacBook Pro here, which I use for all video edits and stuff like that. That's a pair of Bose wireless headphones, which are great. Got an iPad Pro for note taking. I don't have any notepads or anything like that. Everything's electronic. And the reason, again, the other reason I've got the Mac set up in here as well is that it's connected directly to the Ethernet, right? So this doesn't use Wi-Fi. The Ethernet cable goes all the way around the room underneath this carpet here, and then through here and into the living room, so that I've got like proper solid internet for doing internet calls, which is what I need. So the light boxes are on only when I've got a call on. It gets really, really warm in here. I've got like one of these stand things here as well, which is handy if you're using 2 screens, so you can stick your laptop on this like riser here and just have it open up like that, so it sits kind of like this on the desk. The desk's quite small actually, it's a bit too small for me, but to be honest it's helped me with the discipline of having not too much shit on my desk. Shelving area here, I've got like, I used to have all my books in here, but I've got too many books. So what I've just got here is a selection of things, a bit of a mess actually, I could do a bit better. I've got a selection of books that I kind of dip in and out of at the moment. Some of my favourite marketing books here, a bunch of journals down there, some shit in the bottom left and right hand corner, Johnny Cupcake Standard, Rubik's Cubes. This is from Mark Schaefer, when he sent me this, when he sent me his book, Known. Baseball, obviously. But it's just a bit of personality right behind you, so when I'm sitting at my computer, there's just like a nice setup. It doesn't look like, it looks like I'm in my office, which is good. We've got this decal put up here as well, which was again just kind of finished it off a little bit. In a previous life I used to play a lot of guitar, maybe for about 10 years or something like that, from when I was about 15. So I've got like these guitars that are like these are my favourite guitars. This is an Ibanez Prestige S series guitar. It's like super thin. See the body's like really, really thin compared to that one there. This is a Schecter 7-string guitar. It's a Jeff Loomis signature Diamond series. Beautiful guitar as well. And I've got another one over here which is like an ARZ Ibanez Artist Series model, which is an amazing guitar as well, beautiful guitar. I've got a bunch of guitars, these are my favourite ones, so I put them up in the office. Again, bit of personality. I've got a couple of Tom Fishburne prints here as well. I commented on his blog, and if he likes your comment, if it's his favourite comment, he sends you a print, which I've framed here. I've got another one up here as well. Got this from Anne Handley, which is a figurine of Seth Godin, which is pretty cool. Back to the Future here. This is a print from Abandoned Ship, which is a local clothing brand here in Dundee, and this as well. And then a whole bunch of Johnny Cupcake stuff as well. So these are just things that really inspire me. This is our Don't Forget to Be Awesome print here. This here is Speak and Spill, which is a mastermind group I'm part of. These are all the people that have been there in 2016 and 2017 at their event. Like I said before, this all takes a bit of time just to kind of get it all set up. It wasn't like this from the very start. In fact, there was nothing in here really at all. I think, in fact, the first time I ever made a web call in here, it was from these shelves here. There was nothing in them, and my laptop was sitting in front of them, and I had my big banner behind me, and that was it. That's all it was when we first moved in. You just have to kind of make do with what you have. I guess the key for me was just having an environment that I really enjoyed being in. If I'm going to spend all day in here, every time I'm working, it has to be an environment that I actually enjoy being in, right? which I think is important. But it really does lean into the type of work that I do. The type of work I do is probably important to explain as well. So my work really involves me spending most of my time sitting here on calls, either for creating content or doing networking calls or meetings. Everything, almost everything, like 95% of what I do is spent doing this. So that's one of the major reasons for having a setup like this. There's an environment that I actually enjoy being in, that I feel good about if I'm going to do tons of webinars and podcasts and all that kind of stuff. So it's important that I have a place that I actually like, right? That's a big thing. I think it adds a little bit of personality to the content that we create. It creates a little bit of interest as well. We've still got a bit of work to do in this office area as well. Kara's going to be putting up her prints and things like that on the walls. We've got a little bit more personality to go in here, and we've really turned it into a place where we can work. Having an office at home is a little bit of a luxury, but as Kara mentioned earlier, having a place where the work, everything to do with work, is kept in the office, which is great. We can close the door, switch the lights off, and it's all in here, but also that added benefit of meaning that everybody else knows that they're not supposed to come in here, which is really good. So all our stuff is kind of away from dirty, minky, sticky kids' hands and all of that kind of stuff as well, which is really good. But also means that we've got a place where we can do our work as well, which is really great. Even though this is technically a room in our house and it's, completely, you go straight out into the hall and here, it's good to have even just a door between the house and the office. We walk in here, we're at work, the kids know we're at work as well, so they're quite good at actually sort of knocking the door and not interrupting us because they can see that we're actually busy doing our work, which is good. So I think for everyone else in the house, they know that when we're in here, we're at work and we're doing work, and it's obvious that that's what's happening, which I think is a great thing for people understanding that we're doing work while we're at home. It's not like we're just messing around. So working from home, it's quite nice to have your own place to work in. Now, it might not be something like this for everybody. You might not have a spare room you can use, but having a place where you go to work is really, really important for your own mentality, for your own mindset. Even just a little separation between the home and your work is good for you. Just think about it like when you used to work in an office for someone else as well. Your desk would be tidy, you'd have some kind of respect for the area around you as well, and you would create an environment that allows you to do good work. An example that Kara shared with me earlier is the same as kind of like, say as a tradesman, a painter, a decorator, or a carpenter, right? You like the ones that have, like for example, they have nice uniforms, they're clean, tidy, presentable, their vans are clean, their tools are all in the right place. It's the same kind of idea. You've got respect for the work you do, you respect yourself, and I think having an environment that reflects that is really, really important.